And we are indeed at the top of the hour, so we are going to go ahead and get started with today's CONVERGE Older Adults and Disasters Training Module Demonstration webinar. My name is Lori Peak, and I serve as the Principal Investigator for the National Science Foundation funded CONVERGE initiative, which is headquartered here at the Natural Hazard Center at the University of Colorado Boulder. CONVERGE is a component of the much broader natural hazards engineering research infrastructure, or NERI, ecosystem, which is dedicated to enhancing resilience for the nation. CONVERGE, where we are all located, is specifically dedicated to training and convening researchers across disciplines to advance problem-focused and solutions-based convergence research. On behalf of our entire team here at CONVERGE at the Natural Hazard Center, it is our pleasure to welcome you to the CONVERGE webinar series. Today, during our brief 30-minute demonstration webinar, we are going to share the latest CONVERGE training module, which focuses on older adults and disasters. We are so excited to share this new module with you and are grateful that you've joined us here today. A few logistical items before we proceed any further. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and the slides will be posted on the CONVERGE website. And throughout the webinar today, Rachel Adams, a research associate and lead developer for the CONVERGE training module series, will be sharing relevant links in the chat box. Should you have any questions or comments during the webinar, we hope you will either use the Q&A feature or the chat box, which will be monitoring both throughout the webinar and either responding during the webinar in verbal form, in written form, or if we run out of time today, we'll follow up with you after the webinar. So please do share your questions and comments as they emerge throughout. We are really excited, as I noted, to share with you our latest webinar, our latest training module today. We wanted to let those of you who may be new to the CONVERGE facility or to the training module series, let us know that this training module that we're going to be featuring and spotlighting today is actually part of a much larger series of training modules, which are specifically designed for students, early career researchers, and others who are new to the field of hazards and disasters. These training modules, which are brief, take about 30 to 60 minutes to complete, are really meant to provide a background on key topics of concern within the hazards and disaster field. To date, we've released 13 modules, which are all available on the CONVERGE website. This latest module is part of a new special collection that we're forming specifically dedicated to social vulnerability and resilience. The CONVERGE training modules focus on a variety of foundational as well as advanced topics relevant to our hazards and disaster research community. These topics include issues such as IRB procedures and conducting human-focused research, conducting emotionally challenging research, cultural competence, broader ethical considerations, and collecting perishable data, among several others. These modules focus on multiple hazard types, including natural hazards, technological accidents, willful acts of violence, as well as public health threats. They also draw on lessons from multiple disciplines, from the social sciences to engineering, to the physical sciences, to public health and beyond. What ties all of the modules together, regardless of the topical focus, are our shared themes that focus on issues related to social stratification and inequality, power differentials, interdisciplinary collaboration and convergence research, research methods, data management and use, practical applications of research, and at the center of it all, an enduring concern with research ethics. These training modules can be used and have been used as a classroom assignment or competency requirement to ensure that students and others have a baseline level of knowledge and skills as they move forward with their research or other learning efforts. To further encourage classroom adoption, we have partnered with educators across the nation to create a CONVERGE training modules assignment bank. In that assignment bank, you can find several model assignments that are posted on the CONVERGE training modules page for classroom use at both the undergraduate as well as the graduate level. So to all the educators out there, especially those who are already thinking about and getting ready for the impending fall 2026 semester, we hope that you will check out the assignment bank and consider integrating the CONVERGE training modules into your course. Just for reference, I teach a 400 student intro to sociology class here at the University of Colorado Boulder, and I have my students, as we're learning about research methods, complete several of the CONVERGE training modules in that class. And so they can be very useful in the classroom environment. We hope you'll check out the assignment bank. And if you're out there and you've used our CONVERGE training modules in your own classroom, we hope you will submit the assignment to us for publication as part of the assignment bank. The training module that you are going to hear about today grew out of a special issue in the International Journal of Disaster Risk Science, which focused on promoting older adults' engagement in disaster settings. Hao-Rui Wu and Kyle Breen served as guest editors for this special collection, which included 9 published articles that focused on creating new opportunities to foster older adults' leadership in disaster settings, improvements in age-friendly service delivery, and strengthen older adults' resilience during the COVID-19 recovery and other surging global disasters. Hao-Rui, we're proud to point out, is an alum of the Natural Hazard Center here at the University of Colorado Boulder. He was a postdoctoral research associate here for 2 years and actually was one of the founding authors of our earliest training module series, collaborating with Rachel Adams, Candace Evans, and others here on our team. And so it was an absolute honor and delight when Hao-Rui came back to us and offered up, along with Kyle, this extraordinary training module content that you're going to learn about today. And so with that, Hao-Rui, I'm so happy to turn this over to you. And by way of brief introduction to our webinar listeners, please note that Hao-Rui Wu is a professor and Canada Research Chair in Resilience at Dalhousie University, and Kyle Breen, who will be carrying out the demonstration today, is an assistant professor of sociology, leader of the researchers meeting that we host every summer here at the Natural Hazards Workshop, and also located at Texas A&M International University. So Hao-Rui, over to you, and thank you so much for the work that you and Kyle have done on this module along with Rachel and Candace.
Thank you so much for this introduction, Laurie. Again, my name is Hao-Rui Wu. I'm really pleased to be here today. As extreme event intensified and populations age worldwide, understanding the experiences, needs, and contributions of older adults is increasingly important for disaster research and practice. So we partnered with the team at CONVERGE to develop this training module to help students and earlier career researchers and practitioners better understand how hazard and disasters affect older adults, and to promote inclusive, ethical, and age-friendly approaches to preparedness, response, recovery, and resilience. The module also highlights strategies for fostering meaningful engagement and participatory partnership with older adults in research, planning, and decision-making. So today we are going to provide an overview and a demonstration of the older adults and disasters training module. What you can see right now is that the older adults and disaster module is organized into 3 lessons. Lesson 1 focuses on the systematic drives of social vulnerabilities among older adults in disasters. And Lesson 2 discusses how older adults' lifelong experiences, knowledge, skills, networks, and resources position them as community assets throughout the different phases of emergency management cycle. And Lesson 3 describes the ways to engage older adults in emergency management efforts and hazards and disaster research. So in the online module, on the right-hand side of the page, there is a tracking bar where you can monitor your progress as you move through the module's lessons and topics. Once you have completed a topic, you can always go back and review at a later time. Overall, this module takes about 30 to 60 minutes to complete. Throughout the module, we provide case studies from multi-locations and hazards types, examples, images, and infographic to illustrate context. For instance, in the disaster resilience among older adults topic, there is a case study on the 2013 floods in Boulder County, Colorado. Compel 2016 conducted interviews with flood survivors over 60 years old to better understand their recovery. She found that older adults bolster their own resilience and that of others through their volunteering and civic engagement. Networks of senior serving organizations also played an integral role in circumventing barriers to elder recovery. Social and organizational networks provided tangible resources such as lodging, labor information, as well as social support, with older adults helping each other to mentally cope with resilience. Now we are going to transition over to Kyle Breen, assistant professor at Texas A&M International University, who is also one of the lead developer of this module.
Thank you, Hauray. In addition to the module's written and interactive visual content, we have compiled a wealth of additional resources related to older adults and disasters, including an annotated bibliography of the publications that were used to develop the training module. By clicking the Additional Resources tab at the top right-hand corner of your screen, you can find links to toolkits, activities, additional readings, and other relevant resources on older adults and disasters. However, it's important to remember that you must be logged into the module to access these resources. At the end of the module, you can take a 10-question quiz to assess what you have learned. If you are an instructor considering these quizzes for classroom use, we have a question bank that uses a random generator. So if you assign this to your students, they will not all get the same questions. If you get at least 8 out of 10 questions correct, you will receive a certificate of completion with your name and the date. You can save this certificate as a PDF and can also access it at a later date through your training module account. In addition, thanks to a partnership with the International Association of Emergency Managers, or IAEM, we offer 1 contact hour of general management training for each completed CONVERGE training module through the IAEM certification program. As shown on your screen, the contact hour is placed on the certificate upon completion of each module. So now we are going to shift to the demonstration portion of this webinar. So for the sake of time, I'm going to guide you through lesson 3 to demonstrate how you might incorporate this module into your teaching or classroom assignments. Lesson 3 describes various ways to engage older adults in emergency management efforts, as well as hazards and disaster research. The first topic in this lesson is engaging older adults in emergency management. Promoting older adults' engagement in emergency management efforts is the first step to utilizing this group's strengths to contribute to resilience. Here, we present some slides that provide examples of opportunities for engaging older adults in emergency management efforts. The first opportunity is mobilize knowledge and engage older adults and presents the example of New Jersey Future, a nonprofit organization that supports building resilient communities. This organization recommends first establishing a steering committee to develop aging-friendly community initiatives. They advocate that these committees be comprised of diverse community members, senior advocates, and municipal decision makers so they can draw on various expertise and perspectives. The second opportunity is to host preparedness workshops, and the example provided is a project where the Long Beach Department of Health and Human Services partnered with the University of California, Los Angeles Center for Public Health and Disasters to develop an in-person workshop that educated older adults about preparedness. The local health department delivered several interactive presentations at the Long Beach Senior Center to teach participants how to assemble an emergency supplies kit and develop a disaster plan. The third opportunity is encourage inter-organizational partnerships, and the example showcases FEMA's guide to expanding mitigation, making the connection to older adults, which recommends that emergency managers, planners, and development officials partner with community-based advocates for older adults, such as home-based care organizations, senior housing and centers, and assisted living facilities. These groups can ensure that the interests of older adults are included in mitigation planning and project development processes. The fourth opportunity is involve older adults in disaster response, and the example highlighted is a study by Yu and Wang that documented the contributions and leadership of frontline older adult workers at long-term care facilities in Toronto, Canada during the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite their increased health risks, the frontline workers used their previous experience and skills learned from their past professional work to serve others, including taking on extra responsibilities to reduce the spread of the virus, managing and coping with their clients' unfavorable behaviors and stresses, and maintaining the organization's operation by supporting their coworkers. The fifth opportunity is recognize older adults' contributions, and the example provided is the AARP's Stories with Impact column, which shares inspiring stories of resilience. These narratives demonstrate how older adults have overcome challenges, rebuilt their lives, and positively contributed to their communities post-disaster. The sixth opportunity is encourage relationship building, which presents the Ibasho Project, which began as a community cafe following the Great East Japan earthquake and has since expanded into an older adult-led community initiative that strives to strengthen relationships by developing a physical community hub for recovery. This program encourages older adults to develop a livelihood project to gain additional income and invest in the improvement of community spaces to serve as resource hubs. The seventh opportunity is promote older adult voices and decision making. And the example highlighted is the Coalition of Services of the Elderly in the Philippines, which serves as the lead non-governmental organization working with and for older people on a variety of issues, including disaster risk reduction. The coalition recently conducted a project in a local fishing town facing annual sea level rise, where older adults were actively involved in developing the local hazard map and community disaster risk management plan. The eighth and final opportunity is work toward policy change. For example, the AARP Disaster Resilience Toolkit, which was developed through partnerships between AARP and FEMA, can support resilience efforts by providing structured guidance, data, and strategic action plans to influence disaster management policies. The next topic in the lesson discusses ways to ethically engage older adults in hazard and disaster research. Several different ethical principles are discussed. Um, the first one is respect and openness to learn, and this emphasizes that research highlights older adults' strengths and promotes learning from their insights to help address historical stereotypes, misunderstandings, and misconceptions about aging. The results of such work can also help inform emergency management practices that are tailored to the unique needs of older adults. Participatory research methods, such as participatory action research, encourage respectful research participation by treating older adults as equitable partners, co-learners, co-developers, and agents for change. Transparency and flexibility emphasizes that researchers be transparent with the participants, ensuring that they are fully informed about all study procedures and aware that they can withdraw from the study at any time. For example, older adults may experience cognitive changes, hearing loss, or diminished vision, which can impact their ability to provide informed consent. Researchers should ensure that all information is clearly provided in multiple accessible formats and that procedures are flexible to address any emerging or urgent issues as they arise. Reciprocity emphasizes that research about older adults' experiences, knowledge, skills, and resources should be performed in a manner that is mutually beneficial to both the researcher and the older adults participating in the study. Here, reciprocity is defined as an ongoing practice of critical reflection, relationship building, and exchange in which researchers are obligated to strive to produce mutual benefits for the people involved in or affected by the research process. Engaging in reciprocity can enhance the overall relevance of research and address power imbalances by ensuring that the voices of the marginalized are prioritized. Finally, I want to point out one more thing during this demonstration. As we discussed earlier, the module has a resource tab where additional resources related to the older adults and disaster module are listed. These resources include additional readings, tools, trainings, and other relevant resources. Each of these resources is also hyperlinked. For example, if I press the webinar on emergency preparedness for older adults and people with disabilities link, it will bring me to the webpage of that resource. I also wanted to note that we have an annotated bibliography that includes all of the references that are cited in this module. You can find that bibliography in the Learning Management System, or it is available to download on the CONVERGE website as well. So with that, that concludes the demonstration of the actual module today, and we are going to return to the webinar slides. And we hope that this webinar has been helpful for you today. I'm going to turn this back over to Lori for some concluding comments. Lori, back over to you.
Kyle, thank you so much for that demonstration. And thank you so much to Howray for the overview of the training module. That was really wonderful. And I am just going to make sure I'm sharing my appropriate screen here really quickly. Thank you. And Kyle and Howray, before, in addition to thanking you for all the work with bringing this module to the larger Converge training module series, I also wanted to congratulate you both and Sarah DeYoung on the recent publication of your handbook on human-animal interaction in the global context of climate change, disasters, and other crises. So along the way, while Howray and Kyle were working so hard to bring this module to our various users for Converge, they were also editing this really important handbook. So congratulations to you both. And again, thank you for the leadership with this module. Before we close out today, our Converge team, in addition to thanking Hauré and Kyle, our guest stars today on the Converge webinar, we also wanted to share a few brief announcements, including letting you know that we are in the midst of working on what will become our 14th and 15th webinars in the Converge training module series, including a training module focused on people experiencing homelessness and disasters that will be a part of this new collection on social vulnerability and resilience. And we're also working on a new module with the support of the United States Forest Service focused on interdisciplinary hazards and disaster research. And so stay tuned for those upcoming modules. And please, if you haven't already, check out the 13 that are already available via the Converge website. We again hope that you will access the currently available training modules and also that you'll visit the Converge as well as Natural Hazard Center websites for many additional resources to support researchers, practitioners, and policymakers who are working to reduce the harm and suffering caused by disasters. If you have any questions about the training module that you heard about today or any of the other resources that we offer, we hope you will reach out to us at converge@colorado.edu. We also wanted to gratefully acknowledge that the training module that you heard about today, focused on older adults and disasters, was made possible with the support of the National Science Foundation, which we gratefully acknowledge. And on behalf of Rachel Adams and myself, we also wanted to acknowledge the entire Natural Hazard Center team, almost all of whom contributed in some way to the development of this module, including reviewing the content and testing the functionality and layout once the module was moved into the LearnDash management system. So with that, thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope that you will subscribe to updates through the Natural Hazard Center and through Converge. And it looks like we have just a couple of minutes remaining during the webinar today. So if anyone has any questions or comments or anything else that you'd like to share, including thank you, Carol, for the applause for Kyle and Hauré and their wonderful demonstration and overview of the module, please feel free to share any questions in the chat or in the Q&A box, or of course, again, you can always reach out to us at converge@colorado.edu. And we also wanted to thank everyone for joining us today for this webinar and to let you know that we have recorded it and we will post it on the Converge website. And so thank you for the gratitude. And I do have one question right here that let's answer this. And so Ellie Harrison said, I work in homeless services supporting preparedness for shelter programs, some that serve older adults. Do you have any special considerations to share for transient populations? And so one thing I'll say first, Ellie, that I hope you will email us with your website, any resources that you have, because that is the next module that we are working on, is actually focused on unhoused populations. And so I think that you probably have a lot to share with us, but really appreciate what you shared here. And we'll turn it over to Kyle and Hauré to see if there is anything in the older adults module, as Ellie noted, that might be a cross-cutting resource or research that you might want to share now.
All right, I'll let you go first if you have anything.
Okay, actually, we consider about homelessness is a part of the social vulnerabilities. And especially in Canada, we have a lot of older adults without security housing. So that is also one part of us to support them and also engage them into the disaster preparedness stage. So we believe that only providing support can support their short-term needs. However, engage them into the disaster process, provide the long-term benefits to build their resilience and especially empower their leadership in their community. So they do not only focus on the disaster response, but also address some community-based vulnerabilities contribute to the housing insecurity or housing crisis. I would like to say that this would be the best way for us to leverage homeless older adults' assets from both aspects to contribute to the disaster setting and the non-disaster settings. Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing that I'll add is I think that your point about transient populations is very well taken. I don't recall any specific studies that we looked at that specifically cited transient populations with this module. But I think that that's going to be something that the next new one can definitely focus on because I think that there is that transient nature of certain populations that it makes it difficult to study. And so they are a much needed population that we need to understand more about. So I think that that would be a fantastic addition to have as kind of a subsection in one of those new modules on homelessness. So I appreciate you bringing that comment to the forefront here.
Thank you. And I think that one thing that this module does really well is really focuses on those sort of intersectional issues and dynamics of power and inequality that how Ray and Kyle you're referring to. So again, Ellie, we look forward to hopefully hearing from you offline. And we know that right now we are out of time for this particular webinar, but we look forward to being in touch, and we'll be sharing news of future training modules as they are released. And so with that, I'm going to draw this particular webinar to a close with gratitude for Ray and Kyle for the presentations and also for leading the development of this particular module, as well as for Rachel Adams and Candace Evans for co-authoring the module. And a thanks to all of you for being here today. Please take care of yourself and others, and we will see you again soon. Bye, everyone.